The sky above the small settlement glowed an angry red. Smoke twisted like snakes, climbing toward the clouds, while the sharp scent of burning wood and grass filled the air. Villagers ran from their homes, carrying whatever belongings they could save. Amid the chaos, a young boy's terrified scream echoed through the fiery forest. Serena, a dragon lady with emerald scales glinting in the flickering light, crouched on a ridge, her sharp eyes scanning the burning trees. She was penniless, a wanderer, traveling from place to place in search of food, work, or shelter. But she could not ignore the human boy's cries. Even though humans were strangers to her kind and often mistrusted dragons, Serena's heart ached at the sound. Without a second thought, she leapt from the ridge, her clawed feet finding purchase on the loose soil, and ran toward the smoke. Each step brought heat that made her scales tingle, yet she moved swiftly, weaving between fallen branches and flaming debris. The boy's voice grew louder and more desperate. Through the thick smoke, she spotted him, a small figure trapped in a ring of fire. His clothes were singed, his face streaked with soot, and his wide eyes stared at the flames as if searching for a miracle. Serena's heart pounded, but she forced herself to stay calm. Dragons could endure heat far greater than humans could. She took a deep breath, then leapt over the nearest burning log. "Kaelin!" the boy cried, recognizing someone coming to help. Serena's wings, small but strong, unfurled slightly to balance her as she approached. "Hold still," she said, her voice steady. "I will get you out." The boy's name made her pause for a brief second. Humans always seemed to have names that carried weight, and for some reason, this one felt familiar to her. But there was no time to think. The flames were spreading, licking closer with every second. She reached Kaelin and bent low, wrapping her strong arms around him. He flinched at her scales brushing against his scorched clothes, but she held him firmly. "I've got you," she said. "You will be safe." The heat was intense, and sparks rained down around them. Serena leapt again, landing on a patch of scorched earth that still held enough solid ground to support their weight. She could hear the boy's rapid breathing, his panic, and it pushed her to move faster. Dragons were known for their courage, but this was different. This was personal. She would not allow this boy to die. A falling branch crashed nearby, and Serena dodged, almost losing her footing. Kaelin held tight to her neck, his small hands digging into her scales. I can't, he stammered, terror breaking his voice. "Shh," she soothed. "Keep quiet. Follow me." Using every ounce of her strength, she pushed forward through the smoke. The flames seemed to bend around her, almost respecting her determination, and she found a narrow path that led to a clearing. She could see the village now, people running and shouting, carrying buckets of water to fight the fire. They froze when they saw Serena emerging from the smoke with Kaelin in her arms. "Look!" one villager shouted. "A dragon! She's saving the boy!" Serena did not stop. She reached the edge of the clearing and set Kaelin down gently. The boy fell to his knees, coughing, his eyes wide as he looked up at her. You saved me," he said, voice trembling. "I did," Serena replied, her breathing heavy from the effort. "Are you hurt?" "My arm and my leg," he said, pointing. His clothes were burned in places, but nothing appeared broken. "I think I can walk. Maybe." Serena nodded. She could heal minor burns with her scales' natural warmth, and she gently touched the boy's injured spots. A soft green glow surrounded her hands, and the pain in Kaelin's arm and leg eased almost immediately. He gasped in relief. "Wow," he whispered. It feels better." The villagers, still wary of the dragon lady, watched in amazement. Some whispered among themselves, while others stepped forward cautiously, offering water and blankets. Serena ignored them. Her focus was on Kaelin. "Thank you," he said again, his eyes shining with gratitude. "I thought I was going to... I don't know... Don't worry, Serena said. You are safe now, but you must be careful. Fires are dangerous, and humans, they often forget how fragile life can be. Kaylin nodded, still clutching her arm. I will. I promise. For a moment, the two of them just looked at each other. Serena had never spent much time with humans, and yet she felt a connection to this boy. Maybe it was the courage he had shown, trapped and terrified yet still alive. Maybe it was something deeper, a spark she did not understand. The smoke began to clear as the wind shifted, carrying away the fire's heat and leaving a faint smell of ash. Serena stood, brushing off soot from her scales. Kaylin stood beside her, shaky but determined. "Where are you from?" Serena asked. Curious. Humans always had strange stories, and she wanted to understand this one. Kaylin hesitated. I live here. With my father. He's not home right now. He's... His voice broke and he looked down. Serena noticed the sadness in his eyes, a depth of worry that went beyond the fire. "I see," she said softly. "We will find him. But first, you must rest." The villagers finally approached, offering food and blankets. Kaylin took a seat, still staring at Serena in awe. She knelt beside him, her massive tail curling protectively around them both. "You are brave," she said quietly. "And lucky. Not every human survives a fire like that." Kaylin managed a small smile. "I wouldn't have survived without you. You are amazing." Serena chuckled softly. "I'm not amazing. I just did what needed to be done." They stayed there for a while, listening to the distant crackle of the fire and the murmur of villagers tending to their homes. Kaylin's fear slowly faded, replaced by curiosity about the dragon lady who had saved him. Will you stay?" he asked timidly. "Until my father comes back?" Serena looked down at him, considering. She was a wanderer, free to go anywhere at any time. Yet something in the boy's eyes tugged at her. She nodded. "I will stay, for now. But you must promise to be careful. Fires, and humans, can be unpredictable." Kaylin nodded eagerly. "I promise." As night began to fall, the fire finally subsided, leaving behind scorched earth and a faint glow from smoldering logs. The villagers began to rebuild, cautiously friendly toward Serena, recognizing her courage and the life she had saved. Serena stayed close to Kaylin, her eyes scanning the horizon. Somewhere above, beyond the clouds and smoke, a distant light blinked, a reminder that this small settlement was not the center of the universe. Yet here, in this dangerous place, a dragon lady and a human boy had formed a bond stronger than fear or fire. And as the wind carried the last embers into the dark sky, Serena could not shake the feeling that this fire was only the beginning of something much larger, something that would change both their lives forever. The morning sun rose over the scorched settlement, painting the sky with soft golds and pale pinks. The fire from the night before had left a scar on the land, but life slowly returned to the village. Villagers moved carefully through the charred remains of the forest, salvaging what they could. Birds cautiously returned to sing, and the faint scent of smoke lingered in the air. Kaylin sat outside his small home, rubbing the bandages Serena had carefully applied. He flexed his burned arm, testing the strength and warmth that her touch had left behind. He marveled at it. It felt as if her hands had whispered to his muscles, telling them to heal. Serena sat beside him, her emerald scales shimmering under the morning light. Though small for a dragon lady, she carried herself with a natural strength and confidence that made her seem larger than life. Her wings, folded neatly against her back, twitched occasionally as she listened to the faint sounds of the rebuilding village. "You healed me. Really?" Kalen asked, unable to hide his amazement. I helped, Serena said simply. It is not magic. It is what dragons can do. Our bodies know how to mend. Kalen's eyes widened. That is incredible. Humans can't do that. We can only wait for medicine to work or get lucky. Serena chuckled softly, a low rumbling sound that seemed to vibrate through the ground. Luck helps sometimes, yes, but courage and willpower, those matter more. Kalen thought about what she had said. Courage, willpower. He had never felt so scared in his life, yet Serena had made him feel safe. Her presence was strong, steady, unshakable. Somehow, just sitting next to her, he felt braver. I want to learn, he said suddenly. I want to learn to survive like you, not just in fires, but everything. I want to be strong. Serena studied him for a moment. You are already strong, Kalen. It is easy to forget when humans are so small and fragile. But yes, I can teach you. Survival is more than strength. It is patience, observation, and knowing when to act. Kalen's face lit up. Yes, teach me, please. Over the next few days, the two spent long hours together. Serena taught him to recognize dangerous terrain, how to read the signs of the wind and the sky, and how to move silently through the forest. She showed him the basics of dragon agility, how to balance, how to leap from rocks safely, and how to sense approaching danger. Kalen struggled at first, tripping over roots and stumbling on uneven ground, but Serena never scolded him. Instead, she corrected him gently, praising each small success. You are learning quickly, she said one afternoon as Kalen balanced on a fallen log over a shallow stream. Most humans would have fallen immediately. You have courage, and that is rare. Kalen grinned. Thanks. I feel different, stronger, like I can face anything now. Serena nodded, but her expression darkened slightly. Strength alone is not enough. You must also understand humans are unpredictable. Some are kind, some are cruel. And in this world, not all dangers are fire or beasts. Kalen looked at her curiously. What do you mean? Serena hesitated, thinking of the night of the fire. Something about the flames had felt wrong. Too controlled, too precise. Not a natural accident, but she had no proof. Sometimes, she said carefully, humans can hurt themselves or each other. Fires, machines, even weapons. They can bring destruction. You must always be aware of the intentions of others. Kalen frowned. He had never thought much about the world beyond his village, but he trusted Serena. Her warning stayed with him like a shadow, reminding him to stay alert even when everything seemed safe. Meanwhile, life in the village slowly returned to normal. The villagers were cautious, but their fear of Serena lessened as they saw her kindness toward Kalen. Children watched her with wide eyes, hoping to see her glide or leap gracefully. Some older villagers whispered stories of dragons from the past, when humans and dragons had lived together in harmony. They wondered if maybe the old bonds could return. One afternoon, as Kalen and Serena walked through the charred forest, he suddenly stopped. Serena, I've been seeing things, he said, his voice low. Serena looked at him, intrigued. What things? Visions. In my dreams. Machines. Flying above us. People in strange suits. Lights flashing. I can't explain it. He shivered. It's like they are watching us. Serena's eyes narrowed. She knew humans were capable of building machines, but these descriptions sounded different. Far above the small settlement, beyond even the clouds, something was moving. Something that could affect the entire planet. You are sensing them, she said carefully. Not everyone can. Some humans have sensitivity. It is rare. Kalen's heart raced. Does that mean danger? Possibly. Serena said. Or it could be something else. But we must be cautious. We do not yet understand it. Kalen nodded, feeling both fear and excitement. He had never imagined that his life could be connected to something so vast. For the first time, he felt like he was part of a bigger story, a story that involved dragons, humans, and the stars themselves. Over the next few days, their bond grew even stronger. Kalen shared small human customs with Serena, simple games, stories, and songs. Serena laughed quietly at his clumsy attempts to teach her, but she listened intently. In return, she showed him how to sense danger, how to feel the rhythm of the earth, and how to use intuition to survive. Kalen learned quickly, and Serena found herself impressed by his determination. "You are learning faster than I expected," she said one evening as they sat on a ridge, watching the sun set behind the mountains. "Humans often rely too much on tools, but you think, you plan, you observe. That is strength." Kalen blushed. "I have a good teacher." Serena smiled, a rare soft expression for a dragon lady who had wandered alone for so long. "And you, Kalen, have courage. Without it, even the strongest skills mean nothing." As they watched the stars begin to appear in the darkening sky, a faint glow caught Serena's attention. High above, beyond the clouds, a tiny, blinking light moved steadily. It was small, but it seemed deliberate, as if guided by purpose. She narrowed her eyes. "Do you see that?" she asked Kalen. Kalen squinted. Yes, it looks like a star, but moving differently." Serena nodded. "Not a star. Something coming from above. Something human." Kalen's eyes widened. "Human? From space?" "Yes," she said. "I have felt traces of their presence before, far above this world, but never this close." Kalen shivered. A strange mix of fear and anticipation ran through him. His mind raced with questions. Could it be his father returning? Was it dangerous humans? Or was it something else entirely? Serena placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Do not worry. We will face whatever comes together. You are not alone anymore, Kalen. You have me, and soon, you may have others who care for you." Kalen smiled, feeling a warmth he had never known before. For the first time, he realized that life was bigger than his small village, bigger than the fire that had nearly claimed him. And for the first time, he felt ready to face it all, with Serena by his side. The night deepened, stars twinkling like scattered gems across the vast sky. Somewhere high above, the glowing light moved closer, silent but unmistakable. Serena's tail twitched in quiet anticipation. Something was coming, something that would change everything. But for now, in the quiet of the recovering settlement, a dragon lady and a human boy sat together, sharing stories, laughter, and the bond of survival. And for the first time, both of them understood that courage, trust, and friendship could bridge even the widest gaps between species, worlds, and hearts. The fire had brought them together, but the stars above promised an even greater adventure yet to come. The first light of dawn painted the horizon in soft orange and pink hues. But the peaceful morning was soon broken by a deep thrumming sound. Kalen, who had been helping villagers rebuild a small wooden fence, froze and looked up. A shadow moved across the sky, enormous and perfectly round, cutting through the clouds. Serena's ears twitched, her emerald eyes narrowing. "Do you feel that?" she asked, her voice low. The vibrations in the ground beneath her claws confirmed her suspicion. It was not a natural sound. Something massive was descending. Something human. Kalen's heart raced. Could it be my father?" he asked, barely daring to hope. Before Serena could answer, the ground shook harder, sending loose stones skittering across the dirt. Villagers screamed and ducked for cover as a massive spacecraft descended, its engines glowing bright blue, creating a shimmering haze in the air. Smoke swirled around it like a storm as it touched down, and the ground trembled with each pulse of its power. When the dust settled, the ship's ramp slowly lowered with a hiss, revealing a tall figure in a sleek uniform. Kalen's breath caught. He recognized the broad shoulders, the upright posture, and the strong, confident presence. His father, Commander Alric, had arrived. "Kalen!" the man called, his voice carrying across the clearing. He stepped forward, scanning the settlement until his gaze landed on the boy and the dragon lady beside him. "By the stars, you're alive!" Kalen ran forward, nearly tripping over his feet in excitement and relief. "Father, I'm okay!" Alric scooped him up, lifting him off the ground with a mixture of joy and disbelief. "You are safe, thanks to her," he said, glancing at Serena. "Who is she?" Serena stepped forward, keeping her posture calm and respectful. "I am Serena. I saved your son from the fire." Alric's eyes widened in astonishment. "You saved him?" He looked Kalen over carefully, noting the healed burns. Then he turned back to Serena. "I owe you my gratitude and my respect. I am Commander Alric. I mean no harm to you or your people." Serena inclined her head. "I ask for nothing. Kalen is safe. That is enough." The villagers, still cautious, watched silently. A dragon lady had rescued a human boy from a fire, and now his father had arrived from orbit. For many, it was a story they had only heard in old legends, yet here it unfolded before their eyes. Alric lowered Kalen gently and pulled him close again, his voice quieter this time. "Son, you are lucky. The fire, it was not natural, was it?" Kalen shook his head. "I don't know. It just started suddenly, and then Serena—" His voice broke as he gestured toward her. "She saved me." Alric's eyes softened. "Then luck and courage both played a role. But I need to know. Serena, were there any other dangers? Anything unusual?" Serena hesitated, thinking back to the fire. Something about it had felt deliberate, too precise. "The fire may have been caused intentionally. Humans sometimes test dangerous devices here. In remote areas. I am not certain, but it is possible." Alric's face darkened. "Then my fears were correct. Rogue factions have been testing weapons in unmonitored zones. This settlement, your life, Kalen's life, may have been at risk because of their recklessness." Kalen looked between his father and Serena, trying to process the vastness of the situation. "Rogue, humans, testing weapons, here?" "Yes," Alric confirmed. "And we must act before more lives are put in danger. Kalen, you were lucky, but not all humans or dragons may survive such events without preparation." Serena folded her wings slightly, her expression unreadable. "Then we must prepare. If there is more danger coming, the village and Kalen will need protection." Alric nodded, his eyes scanning the settlement. "Agreed. We cannot risk destruction here. And I see you are teaching him to survive. That is wise." Kalen's chest swelled with pride. "I've been learning from Serena. She's amazing." Alric's face softened with a hint of humor. "I see that clearly, and it seems my son is learning well." The commander turned to the villagers, raising his voice to address them. "I am Commander Alric, of the human fleet in orbit. My mission is peace, not harm. But there are rogue factions testing weapons in your region. We must work together to protect this settlement." Some villagers murmured, wary of the humans and the dragon lady alike. Others, who had witnessed Serena's courage, nodded in agreement. They realized that this was no ordinary situation. Their world had suddenly expanded far beyond the mountains and forests they knew. Kalen's excitement grew. "Father, What about the machines I've seen in my dreams? He asked. The lights? The people above? Alric's brow furrowed. You have visions. That is remarkable. Humans in orbit may leave traces, and some children, sensitive to cosmic signals, can sense them. You are one of the rare ones. Your dreams may be a warning of what is coming. Serena stepped closer, her gaze serious. If they are coming, we must act quickly. I will help. Kaelin is ready, and together we can protect the village. Alric studied her for a long moment. He had seen humans underestimate dragons before, but this dragon lady was different. Calm, strong, courageous, and wise. Very well, he said finally. Then we will work together, humans, dragon, and villagers. Unity is our strength. The next hours were a whirlwind of activity. Alric directed the villagers in building defensive structures using salvaged materials. Serena taught them how to move silently through the trees and detect approaching threats. Kaelin assisted both, learning to apply his newfound skills while observing his father's strategic thinking. Even in the midst of preparation, moments of bonding emerged. Kaelin watched his father repair a small communication device, marveling at the technology. Father, you can do all this? He asked. Alric smiled. Technology is only useful if we know how to use it. But courage and judgment? Those cannot be taught so easily. You have them already. Serena observed quietly, impressed by the humans' patience and intelligence. She had encountered many humans who relied too much on machines and power. Alric was different. He thought carefully, respected life, and worked with others rather than commanding blindly. By the afternoon, the settlement had transformed. Watch posts were established, safe zones were marked, and villagers learned to move with caution through the partially burned forest. Kaelin practiced with Serena, leaping over logs, climbing rocky terrain, and learning to sense danger before it arrived. His confidence grew with each small victory. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the land, Alric called a meeting. We do not yet know the full extent of the rogue faction's plans, he explained, but we must remain vigilant. Tonight we keep watch. Kaelin, Serena, stay close. Trust in each other. Courage will guide us. Kaelin nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, but he also felt ready. For the first time in his life, he understood that courage, friendship, and family could shape the future in ways he had never imagined. Serena gave him a small nod. You are ready, Kaelin. Fear will come, but it will not control you. Remember that. Night fell, and the stars shimmered above just as they had the night of the fire. But this time, the boy, the dragon lady, and his father were not alone. They were a team, united against a larger, unknown threat. Somewhere high above, far beyond the clouds, faint lights blinked. Watching, waiting. Kaelin clenched his fists. Whatever comes, we will face it, together. Alric placed a reassuring hand on his son's shoulder. Yes, together we are stronger than anything that threatens us. Humans, dragons, and even ordinary villagers, united, we can face the stars themselves. Serena's tail curled around Kaelin protectively. Then let them come. We are ready. And high above, the mysterious lights continued to move, signaling the beginning of a challenge far greater than fire alone. A test that would demand courage, unity, and the extraordinary bonds between human and dragon alike. The morning sun rose slowly over the settlement, painting the burnt trees with golden light. Kaelin stood at the edge of the clearing, watching as his father, Commander Alric, directed villagers to set up defensive perimeters. Serena's emerald scales glimmered in the soft light as she moved among the villagers, instructing them in ways to detect danger and avoid traps. This is serious, Kaelin said, turning to Serena. The rogue faction, they aren't just testing weapons. They might be planning something bigger. Serena nodded, her sharp eyes scanning the horizon. Yes, fires, machines, experiments. These are only the start. If we do not prepare, this settlement could be destroyed. Alric approached, his voice calm but firm. We have limited time. Kalen, you and Serena will lead the scouts. Learn what you can about the terrain and potential threats. The villagers will follow our strategies. Remember, survival is about intelligence and teamwork, not just courage. Kalen felt a thrill of excitement mixed with fear. He had trained with Serena, learned about danger, and now he would apply it for real. I understand, he said, his voice steady. The day was filled with action. Kalen, Serena, and a small group of villagers moved quietly through the surrounding forest. Serena taught them how to use shadows and trees to their advantage, how to sense movement in the distance, and how to recognize signs of human technology hidden among natural debris. Kalen's heart raced each time he spotted a distant glint or heard a faint mechanical hum. Father said rogue humans are dangerous, he whispered to Serena. They are, she replied. But humans are predictable if you study them. Their machines, their signals, all have patterns. Observe, plan, and act wisely. The scouts discovered remnants of recent activity, burned equipment, discarded tools, and strange markings on trees. Serena crouched beside Kalen, pointing to small symbols etched into the bark. These are markers, she said. Humans use them to navigate. They expect others to follow them, but we can use them to predict movements. Kalen nodded, absorbing every detail. So we can anticipate them? Yes, Serena said. Anticipation is survival. Do not let them control the situation. We must control it. Meanwhile, back at the village, Alric coordinated with other adults, distributing simple weapons, barricades, and communication devices salvaged from his ship. He taught villagers to signal each other silently and to move as units instead of individuals. By late afternoon, the settlement had transformed into a disciplined outpost. Watch posts dotted the edges of the forest, barricades fortified entrances, and villagers practiced moving stealthily under the guidance of Serena. Kalen felt proud as he watched the once scattered community begin to function like a team. That evening, the three leaders, Alric, Serena, and Kalen, gathered on a ridge overlooking the settlement. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in deep reds and purples. A faint light flickered far above, barely visible against the darkening clouds. They're out there, Alric said quietly. The rogue faction is aware of our presence. They may test the settlement tonight. Serena's eyes narrowed. Then we must be ready. Kalen, are you prepared? Kalen straightened, feeling the weight of responsibility. I am. We've trained, and we know the terrain. We can handle them. Alric placed a hand on his shoulder. Good. Remember, coordination is key. Use your senses, trust your instincts, and rely on each other. As night fell, a calm tension filled the air. Villagers took their positions, ready to protect their homes. Serena perched silently on a high rock, her eyes scanning the forest like a predator. Kalen crouched beside her, listening for the faintest sound of movement. Hours passed in stillness. The only sound the rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of night creatures. Then a faint glow appeared among the trees. Mechanical humming reached their ears, faint but steady, growing louder as figures emerged from the shadows. Human scouts equipped with strange devices, their eyes hidden behind glowing visors. Serena tensed. They are scouting. Do not act rashly. Let them approach, observe, then respond. Kalen's pulse raced. He recognized the patterns, movements that matched the symbols they had seen etched in the trees. They're following the markers, he whispered. Yes, Serena said. They think they are clever, but we are cleverer. Using the shadows, they moved silently, positioning themselves to intercept the scouts without alerting the rest of the rogue faction. Kalen's heart pounded as he followed Serena's lead, crouching low, stepping over roots and holding his breath when branches creaked. When the scouts entered a narrow clearing, Serena signaled Kalen. "Now," she whispered. With a swift motion, they revealed themselves, startling the rogue scouts. Serena's wings flared slightly, and her claws dug into the ground, ready to strike. Kalen shouted, directing the villagers who had quietly surrounded the area. The scouts froze, realizing they were trapped in a clever ambush. Alric's voice came through a small communicator. "Contain them, but do not harm unnecessarily. Capture and interrogation will give us information." Kalen nodded, signaling the villagers to block escape routes. Serena stepped forward, her presence commanding and fierce. The rogue scouts raised their hands, recognizing that they were outmatched by a dragon lady, a determined boy, and a prepared settlement. The scouts surrendered quietly, impressed by the discipline and courage of their opponents. Serena and Kalen guided them toward the village center under Alric's supervision. "Good work," Alric said, inspecting the captured scouts. "Now we learn from them. Their technology, their plans, all valuable." Kalen's chest swelled with pride. "We did it! We really did it!" Serena placed a clawed hand gently on his shoulder. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. The main group may come soon. Be ready, Kalen. Observe, plan, act." Over the next few days, the trio worked tirelessly. They studied the rogue scouts, learning about their weapons and devices. Serena trained Kalen further, teaching him to anticipate mechanical movement and use the terrain for advantage. Alric coordinated with villagers to strengthen defenses and improve communication. Kalen realized that courage alone was not enough. Strategy, intelligence, and unity were just as important. Together, humans, dragons, and villagers were stronger than any lone force. Each success, small or large, reinforced the bond between them. One evening, while reviewing their plans, Kalen asked, "Father, do you think they will come in full force?" Alric's expression grew serious. "Yes, they will. But that is why we prepare. Unity is our strength. Dragons, humans, and villagers together are more powerful than they expect." Serena nodded. "We have trained, observed, and planned. Nothing can surprise us if we remain vigilant. And Kalen, you are ready to lead when needed." Kalen felt a mixture of pride and responsibility. For the first time, he understood that being brave was more than rushing into danger. It was thinking, planning, and inspiring others to act together. Night fell, and the stars sparkled above the ridge. The faint glow from orbit shimmered in the distance, a reminder that the galaxy was vast, and their small world was now part of something larger. Together they watched the horizon, villagers, humans, and dragons alike prepared for the coming storm. The rogue faction would test them, but united, they would stand. Courage, intelligence, and friendship had forged an unstoppable team. Kalen clenched his fists. "Let them come. We are ready." Serena's tail curled protectively around him. "Yes, we face them together. Nothing can break our unity." Alric placed a hand on Kalen's shoulder. "And together, we will show that courage and cooperation are stronger than fear and destruction." Far above, the rogue faction's lights flickered, moving silently through the night sky. They had underestimated the settlement, underestimated the dragon lady, underestimated a brave boy, and underestimated the power of unity. The battle would come, but the defenders were ready. The village had become more than a home. It was a symbol of courage, strategy, and the strength of unlikely alliances. And at the heart of it all stood a dragon lady, a boy, and his father, prepared to face the darkness together. The first light of dawn was sharp and cold, illuminating the village that had become a fortress overnight. The smoke from the previous fires had cleared, leaving the air crisp and fresh. Yet tension hung thick over the settlement, heavier than any fire could have created. The rogue faction had been spotted in the distance, moving quickly through the forest, their machines whirring and lights blinking like predators in the shadows. Kalen stood at the edge of the clearing, his heart pounding, yet his mind clear. He had trained for this. Every lesson from Serena, every strategy from his father, every small victory over the scouts had prepared him. He looked at Serena, perched on a rock nearby, her emerald scales glowing softly in the early light. "Are you ready, Kalen?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. "I am," he said. "We can do this together." Alric joined them, his presence commanding yet reassuring. "Stay close. Trust in your training. Courage and unity will guide us." The rogue faction entered the clearing, their machines low and fast, their weapons scanning for resistance. But they were met not by chaos, but by coordination. Villagers moved silently under Serena's guidance, hiding behind barricades and trees. Kalen led a small team through the forest paths, using the knowledge Serena had given him to predict the enemy's movements. The first clash came quickly. A rogue scout, unaware of the villagers' positions, stumbled into an ambush. Serena moved with precision, her claws and tail keeping the scout cornered while Kalen directed the villagers to secure the area. The scout surrendered almost immediately, realizing they were trapped by a combination of strategy and courage. Alric's voice echoed through a communicator. "Good. Keep them contained. Do not let fear dictate your actions. We control the battlefield." Kalen nodded, signaling the villagers to block escape routes. The rogue faction's machines moved into the clearing, larger and more threatening than the scouts. The air was filled with the hum of engines and the metallic scent of machinery. Kalen felt a twinge of fear, but Serena's presence steadied him. "They rely too much on their machines," she whispered. "Watch their patterns. Every machine has a rhythm." Kalen studied the movement, noting the timing of the guards and the placement of weapons. "I see it," he said. "We can anticipate their attacks." Using the terrain to their advantage, the Dragon Lady, the boy, and the villagers launched a coordinated counterattack. Serena leapt from the ridge, her wings unfurling and her claws striking with precision. Kalen and his team used the forest paths to flank the machines, disabling sensors and cutting communication lines. Alric directed the main force, coordinating movements and ensuring that no one was left vulnerable. The rogue faction's leaders were caught off guard. They had expected an easy confrontation, but they were facing something more: intelligence, courage, and unity. Humans, dragons, and villagers moved as one, a combination of skill and instinct that machines alone could not overcome. One of the rogue machines fired, but Serena blocked it with her wings, redirecting the energy harmlessly into the ground. Sparks flew, but no lives were lost. Kalen shouted instructions to the villagers, guiding them to safety and ensuring that every move was calculated. Alric activated a device that emitted a pulse, temporarily disabling the rogue faction's machinery. The field gave the defenders an opening to advance. Kalen led the charge, moving through the chaos with confidence, directing villagers to capture or disable enemy equipment. The battle was intense, but disciplined. Each member of the settlement knew their role, and together they overwhelmed the rogue faction. Machines were disabled, weapons secured, and the remaining forces surrendered. The rogue faction had underestimated the unity of humans, dragons, and villagers, and now they had no choice but to retreat or face capture. As the dust settled, the village was quiet except for the soft rustling of leaves and the relieved sighs of those who had survived. Kalen looked around, his chest rising and falling rapidly. He had never felt such a mixture of fear, relief, and pride. Serena landed beside him, her eyes softening. "You did well, Kalen. Very well. Your courage and leadership helped save many lives today." Kalen smiled, exhausted but happy. "We did it. Together." Alric approached, his expression a mixture of pride and relief. "You have grown into a true leader, Kalen. I am proud of you." He looked at Serena. "And you, your courage and guidance were crucial. I owe you more than I can say." Serena inclined her head gracefully. "No thanks are needed. Kalen's life was in danger. I did what anyone would do." The villagers began to emerge from their hiding places, cautiously at first, then with more confidence as they saw that the danger had passed. Children ran to Kalen, cheering, and some approached Serena with awe in their eyes. Even the adults, who had been wary, now nodded in respect. Alric addressed everyone. "Today, we faced a threat that could have destroyed us, but we survived because we worked together. Humans, dragons, and villagers, united, we are stronger than anyone who seeks to harm us. Remember this day." The villagers cheered, feeling hope and pride swell in their hearts. For the first time in many years, they felt that they could face the dangers of the world beyond their forests and mountains. As night fell and the stars appeared, the settlement began to repair itself. Fires were extinguished, barricades reinforced, and the damaged areas cleared. Kalen walked with Serena and Alric through the village, feeling a sense of belonging he had never known before. "Father," he said softly, "will we stay here, or will we go with you to orbit?" Alric looked thoughtful. "You could go with me, Kalen, and see worlds beyond this one. You could learn, grow, and explore the stars, but—" He paused, looking at Serena and then the village. "Sometimes the heart chooses where it belongs, and it seems your heart is here." Kalen smiled. "I want to stay with Serena, with the villagers. We've built something together. I don't want to leave it behind." Serena's tail curled gently around him. "Then stay. But remember, the universe is vast, and courage, intelligence, and unity will always guide you no matter what comes next." Alric nodded in agreement. "You have learned much, Kalen, and I see that your choice is wise. Life is not only about adventure, but also about responsibility, loyalty, and the bonds we form." The three stood together, looking at the peaceful village that had survived not by chance, but by courage, strategy, and unity. The rogue faction had been defeated, but more importantly, the villagers, humans, and dragons had learned to trust and work with each other. In the days that followed, the settlement thrived. Humans and dragons shared knowledge and skills. Children learned both dragon agility and human ingenuity. Villagers developed confidence in themselves and their community. The once small and vulnerable settlement became a beacon of hope and resilience in the region. Kalen often sat with Serena, watching the sunset over the mountains. "Do you think there will be more challenges?" he asked. "Always," she replied. "The universe is full of dangers and mysteries. But now, you know how to face them. Together, we are stronger than any challenge." Alric joined them, placing a hand on Kalen's shoulder. "And remember, Kalen, courage is not only about fighting, it is about helping others, learning and choosing to do what is right, even when it is hard. Today you proved all of that." Kalen smiled, feeling a warmth in his heart. He had survived the fire, learned to trust a dragon lady, reunited with his father, and helped protect his village. He understood now that life was bigger than fear, bigger than fire, and bigger than himself. Above them, the stars twinkled like scattered gems, silent witnesses to the courage and unity of humans and dragons. Somewhere far beyond, the rogue faction would regroup, but they had learned an important lesson: that courage, intelligence, and trust between different beings could overcome even the most dangerous threats. The village celebrated quietly that night, not with loud parties, but with a shared sense of pride, resilience, and hope. Kaelin, Serena, and Alric stood together, looking at the stars, knowing that whatever challenges the future held, they were ready. United, they had proven that even the smallest settlement, guided by courage and cooperation, could stand against the universe itself. And in that quiet night, a dragon lady, a brave human boy, and his father knew the truth, that courage, trust, and unity could light the darkest corners of the galaxy, and that the story of their lives was only just beginning.